It's just unbelievable to me still when I stop and unhook myself and go, nothing, put it back on, everything.
2 years ago, Cassie Bunker received a cochlear implant. A cochlear implant is an advanced technology to process and deliver sound to the auditory nerve of profoundly or severely deafened individuals. When hearing aids are inadequate, a cochlear implant provides access to the world of sound.
About 1985, I felt like I was missing things and should get a hearing test because I hadn't really had one since grade school. You know, at the time, it was just subtle little pieces of life that were kind of slipping away a bit. I had a great girlfriend from high school days who was a head of audiology at the University of Minnesota. She said, oh, come on, we'll have lunch, I'll test you, we'll get it all figured out. We went through all the testing, and she said that I did have a hearing loss.
Originally, Cassie experienced a mild loss, and it showed up subtly in terms of not being able to hear certain things that other people were hearing, but she could still communicate.
Then when I went back to her in 1987, there was a substantial change in my audiogram. I really was losing enough ground that my audiologist said I should go for more workup elsewhere and that I should probably get a hearing aid in my right ear.
It takes an enormous amount of energy as hearing loss continues to progress to maintain the ability to communicate with other people.
The job that I had, it was in advertising, and it was a very busy job, and I was on the phone an awful lot doing negotiating and talking about very important details. I would apologize to people, let them know they needed to repeat, and lots of folks would do that, and lots wouldn't.
Having to apologize for not being able to hear is a very difficult thing and compromises a person's ability to do their job.
Eventually, the only way that I could answer the phone was I would run down the hall when somebody said my phone was ringing or I was being paged, quickly close the door and turn on the speakerphone as loud as it would go. I considered quitting my job. I knew I wasn't performing as well as I needed to, but I really held on as long as I could.
At some point, she just said, I can't deal with this. I can't manage this anymore.
It's very exhausting having that type of hearing and that kind of challenge to be always on.
We take for granted all these little interactions that help us negotiate our days, help us get to the grocery store, help us, find our way when we're lost and we need to stop and ask for directions. All of these things become a huge challenge, and so the person experiencing hearing loss typically withdraws from these situations.
As I pulled away, lost my nerve, felt isolated, the way we get through those things is communicating, and one of my means of communicating had essentially disappeared. There goes a lot of my marriage skills. There goes a lot of my parenting skills in some very critical years.
And the other family members are assuming the responsibilities that the person experiencing the hearing loss can no longer fulfill.
The balance has changed dramatically that way. We didn't choose it. We didn't negotiate it. It was happening. My husband has been a very successful piano technician for over 25 years. He uses his fabulous and superior hearing to make a really good living. But over the years, here I've become a deaf girl. And it continues to be a real irony. There were times when I just quit going to concerts with him.
I would go to events with friends by myself because she just didn't want to deal with it. She couldn't hear. She just sort of sat there, looking confused a lot of times.
It would make me sad. I knew that I couldn't really hear it. And he would be sitting next to me and he would be sad too. It broke his heart to have his wife miss more and more of the things that he adored so much.
We went to Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, the one with Ode to Joy in it. And I remember at intermission, we were both just so emotional about the power of the music and also how it may be the last time she'll really be able to hear music.
So that was pretty difficult, pretty isolating. I was angry a lot. And I'm not normally that kind of a person at all. So there wasn't any normal anymore.
These are dramatic life changes that they're facing, having to accept.